Hi, welcome back to the Benchmarkers Rugby Show. I am one of your co-hosts. My name is Kumbi. I'm a data scientist slash rugby fan, and I am joined by my other co-host.
Yeah, guys, how's it going? My name's Nyasha. Welcome back. Thank you for the growing support. I am too a data scientist, but for the purposes of this show, I'm the AI stats guy. I bring in the analysis. I build the models that make correct and incorrect predictions, and yeah, hopefully adding to your rugby experience. And Kumbi is our resident expert who let's just say he's an expert. But yeah, Kumbi, right?
Barely.
Yeah, we have the final before the final this week. Yeah, how are you feeling?
Oh, yeah, it's a massive week. I
Yeah,
mean, listen, I think it. I just want to say, but before that, like we've now gone through 2 weeks of Rugby World Cup.
yeah,
It's been fantastic. I think the action that we're seeing on the field is great. Especially the thing for me, the highlight is the tier two countries. First week it was Chile.
yeah,
This last week it was Portugal. So it's really great to see these tier two countries. And obviously for me, I've said how much of a big fan I am of Fiji, how much I'm rooting for them
yeah,
to get their first win against Australia in over 60 years. That's been fantastic. But now you basically get this week the final of the group stages, right? So it's the grand final of the group stages,
yeah,
and yeah, obviously that's going to be fantastic. It's going to determine probably how Group B turns out, and then who faces who coming out of Group A and Group B, provided that New Zealand beats Italy as well. So
yeah.
it's a massive week. It's a massive week. So that is the game, our game of the week. That's the game that we're going to be looking at.
Yeah, of course. So, just to give you, just let you know how this is going to play out. We have an AI model that simulates games, predicts the outcome of certain KPIs. We look at a lot of KPIs, but for this we only display about six or so. We predict how we think South Africa will play, how we think Ireland will play, and also who will win the
Right.
game, and what the other team can do for them to win. Right. We call
Yeah.
this
Right.
our winning model. Right. And we're just gonna
Yeah.
pop it up on screen right now. Shall we just get into it, Kumi?
Let's get into it. Let's get into it. I'm excited.
Right. So these are the KPIs, right? We have South Africa and the South Africa and Ireland. So with territory, it's predicting South Africa to lose out on territory. 48% to Ireland's
Right.
52.
Yeah.
Scrum success, 99% scrum success for South Africa. Ireland
Yeah.
88. And just so you know, the bottom row with the team names, that's who the model predicts will win that particular KPI.
Yeah.
it's doing the math, so we don't have to. Tackle success 94 to 90. Not much in that. Line out success also fairly even. Line breaks. Ireland to get more line breaks. Runs. This I guess shouldn't come as a shock. 113 line breaks to South Africa's 98. Defenders beaten. It's putting that in favor of South Africa. Moles putting that in favor of South
Interesting.
Africa again, and the predicted match winner.
Yeah.
Right, and at the bottom there, we do have some context. This is generated by the model. Again, I know we have a lot of Springbok fans and a lot of Irish fans who watch this. So,
Yeah.
this is the model, but we will discuss it. But it predicts South Africa winning 48% chance of South Africa winning 51.5 for Ireland. So a close game, and I think that makes sense. But it does make some
Yeah.
recommendations. With South Africa needs to win more territory by kicking, by strategic kicking and utilizing their wings more,
Yeah.
right? So
Right.
clearly the model's a fan of Mapimbi. South Africa needs to capitalize. South Africa needs to capitalize on their physical dominance with scrums and mauls, right?
Yeah.
Right. And Ireland need to base the game on possession and territory, and the last line
Right.
is the model predicts a close game between the model predicts a close game with Ireland having a slight advantage, but if South Africa's physical dominance and wingers overpower Ireland, the predictions changed to a 57% chance of a South African win. Now, Kumbi, I've done my analysis. I've done my right.
Yeah.
Give us the context
You've
behind
done your
this.
part.
I've done my part.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So I think it definitely makes sense. Even if you look at the way the teams are gonna, we know how they're gonna come at each other because you know what these teams are gonna provide, right?
Yeah.
So, for instance, we know that South Africa is gonna want to stifle the Irish defense by rushing up on them using either Peter Steff, Faf de Klerk, and all these guys. But how Ireland has responded to that in previous years has been to kick behind them, right? To kick behind that rush defense. So it's probably going to have, so we look at things like territory, right? So there's going to be a bit of a kicking battle, which we think, or at least the model thinks, that Ireland's going to win that because not only are they going to kick from 9 and 10, those are probably going to be your shorter kicks, shorter but higher kicks, but also they've got the back three that can kick. James Lowe has probably one of the longest kicks in world rugby, but you also have Mac Hansen as well, and forgetting what their fullback's name is.
Yeah.
I hope Irish fans don't come for me for that. But yeah, the entire back three
Yeah.
kicks quite well, right? So I think Ireland can win that. But also one of the critical things is going to be the line out. We think the Irish line out is a bit better right now, especially because they've got their loose forward. Their loose trio also. Is great at the line out as well. But if South Africa wants to win the game, right? So this is very close, right? So it can go either way,
Yeah.
right? 51% chance of Ireland win. That's not a lot. But if South Africa wants to win this game, they would have to win in those areas, your lineouts, your territory, right? So they would have to beat Ireland in these areas that we said are going to win, which is going to be very interesting considering how, obviously this is an ideal world,
Yeah.
right? So this is going to be interesting how it plays out considering who's going to be on the field, right? It's a bit going to be in the field. Marks has gotten injured already, right? So there's going to be quite a bit. We need to consider a bit of context, right, before we before we make our conclusions here. So we're actually going to make those, provide that context
Yeah.
right now, right? And look at the players who are coming to the squad, those ones who've left, and so on and so forth. So I'm going to throw it back to Nyasha just to give us, a bit of analysis
Yeah.
on that front.
Thank you. So part of what
Yeah.
we do is we get data from club rugby data, international test match data, right?
Yeah,
Right, and we aggregate that. Just got some averages, right? Not every game is represented, but it's a healthy number for us to start making some inferences and start making some comparisons. So
Yeah.
obviously, big news: Pollard is back, right? South Africa's kicking game hasn't been on point as far as conversions and penalty goals,
Goal kicking,
right?
right? Yeah.
Which obviously right now that hasn't been an issue because
Yeah.
we haven't really been facing tough opponents, but for games like against Ireland, that might be the difference. Even if you look at
Absolutely.
Fiji versus Australia, right?
Australia.
It
Right, yeah.
it came down to the kicking. So yeah, with that being said, the four players we are comparing are Manny Lebok, Faf de Klerk, Andre Pollard, and Johnny Sexton, right? Because these are these are the kickers, and we're looking at 189 games combined. Across 7 competitions, 6,000 data points, and this is what we're looking at. So starting off with comparing their conversions, right? Their average conversions per game, right? And in the table, we show the number of games we are comparing. So 35 for Sexton, 57 for Pollard, 49 for Manny, and 78 for Faf. Conversions, we have Johnny Sexton on top with 1.7 conversions per game. Andre with
Yeah, that's not surprising.
I know you're a fan. 1.3 for Andre. Manny Lebok with basically one conversion, and I don't think he scored one in this World Cup. So again,
Right.
that's a point. And Faf de Klerk maybe with us 0.1, but that's not necessarily his place. Looking at the points, right? Average points. Andre for 57 games is averaging 10 points a game. Johnny Sexton 7.4 points a game. Money with looking at 50 games, which is almost comparable to Andre. By the way, this is also including club games. It's not just international.
Right. Yeah.
5 points, and we have Faf de Klerk with around 1 point. And lastly, and this is the key thing, looking at the penalty goals. Andre is averaging more than double of everyone else, right, with 2.2
Yeah.
2.2 penalty goals per game. Johnny Sexton with exactly one, at least in our database. Manny Lebok 0.8 and Faf de Klerk 0.1, right? So obviously that tells a story showing the importance of just having Andre back, especially in the kicking for points area. And
Yeah.
and also I guess his matchup against Johnny Sexton. But yeah, I'll throw this over to you.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the important talking point when it comes to Pollard is going to be the goal kicking.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's the one person we know who can, especially in terms of consistency. We know that LeBok can make it sometimes, but he's not very consistent. You look back to the All Blacks game
Yeah.
that they won recently. He didn't miss a single penalty or a single conversion rather.
Yeah.
Right. So we know he can make them, but he's not as consistent as your Pollard. Right. So if you want consistency, if you want someone who's done it before at this stage, Pollard is your guy. But that also then means that you're also sacrificing a few things. Lebok is very informed in every single aspect of his game, right?
Yeah.
So when it comes to open play, his defense has been really good. And also now, the guys around him can now play with him, right? So obviously, Henry's coming back is massive, but is he going to be able, in the other aspects of the game, is he going to be up to it the way Lebok is right now? We're yet to see. Probably Pollard will come off the bench, or at least that's my hope. But
Yeah.
we'll have to see how that plays out. But yeah, it's interesting analysis.
Yeah. Shall we go to the? I mean, South Africa just lost
Right.
Marks, Malcolm Marks, and
Right, and that is the massive one.
yeah,
Right? Yeah, you're basically okay. Look, this is obviously my opinion.
Yeah.
But you've lost the best hooker in the world, right?
Yeah.
For the rest of the World Cup, who provides so much. So what we've done is we've just basically looking at the exact same analysis that we've done over the same number of games, professional games.
Yeah.
Which means it stretches. It goes through club games as well, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But we want to see what the impact of Marks is. But we also at the point where we're recording, we don't know if Dan Sheehan is going to play because the squads haven't been announced.
Yeah.
And if Marks is number one, Dan Sheehan is the number two hooker in the world, right? So what kind of impact do these guys provide? So essentially, with these two players, or at least with the four players in because we also bring in Bonambi as well, and also Ronan Kelleher
Yeah.
for Ireland, who's probably going to start. So Bonambi and Kelleher are probably going to start for the two teams respectively.
Yeah.
But so when it comes to lineouts, right? So we've said how critical the Irish lineout is going to be. Kelleher is your best player when it comes to lineouts. One, he's got 7 a game. The next best is going to be Marks, right? Who obviously we said that he's not going to be playing. He's the next best. Actually, I got that backwards. Marks is your best guy, which obviously that's a loss.
Yeah.
But your next best player now is going to be Kelleher, right, with 7.1. And then your next player after that is going to be Bonambi with 6.83. It's not a massive difference, right? So Bonambi is still very reliable at the line-out. So you're not really losing much. But I think the big question here is going to be over 80 minutes because now you're going to be bringing in probably Dion Fourie, who hasn't really played a lot of... I don't think he's played at hooker in the World Cup cycle for the Springboks. So that's going to be interesting to see how that line-out is going to be affected.
Yeah.
But you also then look at, the effects of someone like Sheehan as well. If Sheehan is not going to be playing, one of the other things that we highlighted for Ireland was the fact that they need, in order for them to win, they need to make sure that their running game is a lot more, they're winning the running game compared to South Africa.
Yeah.
Right. And Dan Sheehan, as far as he's kind of like Dan Coles, like a Dan Coles throwback, right? So he's running hooker. And I think here, if you're comparing defenders beaten, Dan Sheehan has 1.46 defenders beaten a game. Kelleher is the next best with 1. So that shows that those two are more dynamic than the other two. And then you've got Marks with 0.63 and then Bonambi with 0.45, right? So clearly the running game is going to be affected if Sheehan is out. But then, in addition to, if we're going back to Marks now, when it comes to Marks, you're also losing a feature technically.
Yeah.
But that really is compensated for because Fourie is a flank. So, so I think it's going to be interesting to see how that dynamic plays out, how the line-out is affected, how the running game is going to be affected, and also how the scrum is going to be affected. When Fourie comes in, is Oxenchair going to be able to compensate for his inexperience at the scrum? So that's going to be very interesting to see as well. So, basically the hooker battle and the line-out, especially the set piece, that's going to be very interesting to see how the injuries are going to affect how those play out. So yeah, I think in general it's exciting. It's
It is.
exciting. We're excited to see how this is going to play out over the weekend.
Yeah. And so
Right.
this is our analysis, and thank you for that. So again, the idea of this is just to provide you some analysis,
Right.
give you some context. But ultimately, this is a game that's probably going to go down to the wire. At least, hopefully, definitely, it's a final.
Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully, and it's a final
Yeah.
before a final. We hope you enjoy and appreciate the analysis, and thank you for the
Right.
feedback in the last episode. If the other things you would like seen, or just any suggestions you have, we're obviously thankful for it, and we welcome it. But yeah, from my side,
Absolutely. Yeah.
this is the analysis. Hope you enjoyed it. I know Kumbi.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you so much. Hopefully you guys enjoy the rugby over the weekend. And don't forget, before before the video ends, just like the video, share, comment, subscribe, do the things.
Yeah.
And we'll see you guys in next week's episode as well.
All
All
right.
right.
Cheers.
Bye.
At experience.
All the analysis you've seen is powered by AdStat Marketplace, the best marketplace to get your digital memorabilia directly from teams, athletes, and brands. If you're a sports fan or an athlete, visit AdStatMarketplace.io and start creating and sharing memories. Link in the description.